Crooked slime, hooligans, thieves, people with no respect for the law, people who fear neither the rules nor any man, lost souls who would rob their own mothers. Do these words ring any bells, friend? Have you ever looked at someone and thought to yourself that he is just a corrupt, rotten, stinking criminal? Have you ever wondered how perfect the world would be if crime just disappeared and injustice would be just a myth of the past? Would that even be possible? Or is there something more about crime, corruption and exploitation? Something that jumps not as far from yourself as you might think. You often assume that criminals are everything that you are not and don't want to be, everything you reject and seek to eliminate from society. How many times have you imagined how wonderful life would be if we could permanently get rid of all of them, these worthless people beyond hope, lock them up and throw away the key? But is there something else about criminals that is worth looking into? In your mind and in the mind of our culture, they are just the rejected, the worthless on which nothing solid or safe can be built. People who are flawed, the ones you would not notice at all if they didn't act out, the ones you want to distance yourself from. And so you choose to define the common criminal as the one who embodies all the ugly, rejected and unwanted traits, while you remain straight, good and law-abiding. But as you do this, friend, ask yourself a question. Are you doing this because you are good by nature or because you are afraid of being caught? Remember, friend, that criminals stumble in the dark, in the unknown, outside the world of order and law and into the crude, violent, indifferent reality that you oftentimes refuse to even look at. The ones you label criminals are the ones who cannot or will not make their lives in the ways we have decided are okay. They are the ones who sell us things we pretend we do not want, like cocaine, sex, cheaper phones, stolen bikes and imported cars. They are the ones who are made desperate by their own failures to make their way in life in conformity with the normal standard, ending up making a living by exploiting the hidden realms of human nature we all deny through our hypocrisy. Keep in mind, friend, next time you imagine cleaning out the world of evil and crime, that eliminating all the criminals will not eliminate all your vices. Vices that express something essential about human nature, something that you need to look at in a different way. Remember that the path of your soul is disturbing, and refusing to look at your own darkness will only enforce it into your reality. The road to becoming a mature man is filled with dark elements that you might want to reject for the sake of perfection, but the purpose of initiation into manhood is not to make you good and without fault, but to make you real, to make you understand your darkness instead of being naive and innocent, believing that crime and violence exists only in others. Observing the ones on the other side of the law can provide some painful knowledge about your own capabilities, limits, hungers, desires that you oftentimes refuse to acknowledge or try to hide under the pretense of being wholly good, but being good is not good enough. Crime should be punished, fully agree, send the criminals of our times to prison and change their nature, their behavior, keep them contained until this happens. But do not be fooled, friend, into believing that this process is something that only the ones that got caught need. Be honest with yourself and recognize how many times you are fascinated by criminal, violent and inhumane acts, while at the same time you are unwilling to recognize that the darkness in your heart, your tendency towards evil, is as essential to becoming complete as your beliefs and efforts towards goodness and perfection. Your desire to eliminate crime and violence is a desire to crush your soul, your imperfections and your shortcomings. It is an effort to create a world taken over by everything that is pure in human nature, while trying to enforce such a world using the same dark elements you originally tried to eliminate. If you do not dare to honestly look at your own darkness, you will need criminals in order to have someone to get caught other than yourself. You will prefer someone out there in the world desperate enough to be your scapegoat, to do the expression and suffering for you. You need these criminals to assault and murder your ego, your patterns of thoughts and emotions that you do not express and that destroy your soul, so that you can come up with decisions and actions that can change the fabric of your behavior for the better. You need criminals to be caught and give you their reasons for their actions, answers to questions about you that you cannot answer for yourself because of your ignorance and fear of your own darkness. In all the crimes and inhumane actions that you will judge, there will be a chance for you to become more human by not throwing away the possibility to understand more the spectrum of humanness, both the dark and the bright side of it. Do not be the fool who will gladly point a finger at criminals while at the same time alleviating his own conscience by closing his eyes to the people he destroys, the third worlds he sacrifices to his prosperity, and the future generations he disregards in order to have all the consumer goods he lusts after in this moment. Be daring enough to look at the ones from the underworld with a curiosity that will allow you to possibly observe your own tendencies towards similar actions. Do not deny your capacity for violence and hateful crimes. Learn from the ones forced into a world that you willingly suppress and deny, instead of falsely believing in that illusion that supports the idea that you are better than the criminals of the world. Crime should be punished, but remember that the criminal and illegal acts of some may be just an exaggerated expression of impulses, hungers and desires that you also possess but have not looked at with too much attention. Judge and judge harshly the actions of other men, friend, but never turn a blind eye to the lessons that you might learn from the actions of the ones you might view as cold-blooded criminals. Dare to discover the dark corners of your soul by recognizing your own capacity to harm, steal and deceive. Have the courage to venture into the deepest and darkest parts of yourself and admit that if pushed enough, you could also take the dark path of crime. Only by knowing what you could be capable of will you ever have a chance to prevent the worst things in you to take over. The crimes of others may be just a difficult and terrible situation away from being the crimes you would also commit. The criminal that you see in the world may be the image of what you might become under the wrong circumstances. When judging the crimes others commit, are you daring enough to look into your own darkness and recognize some similarities, or are you choosing to become blind to your own demons? Daring to look into the dark can make you a complete man.